Hello, Rayuya. Thank you for the welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. The ad is over. Let's pull up my face. As you can maybe hear, I can definitely hear it. My voice is still not 100%. It's a little scratchy. And I have some chest congestion, so I'm going to be clearing my throat every once in a while. So yeah, I'm standing weirdly close because there's a chair here. I brought a chair in. I'll move that back so I can stand in the right spot. Hi, I don't even have my apron on because we're not planning on doing a big cook today. Yeah, so I'm back. I was going to be back last Monday because we flew back on Sunday, and I thought, great. Rather, we flew back on Saturday, and I thought, great. We'll come back because it was a late flight. We'll come back, we'll crash, and then I'll have a nice leisurely Sunday, and I can putz over here. Well, illness from the trip spilled over, and it turned out on Sunday I was in urgent care because it got worse when I got back. That was fun. And then I was still there. I was still in Green Bay, opposite end of the state, 3-hour drive away on Monday. Ended up heading over on Tuesday because we had to get myself stabilized. So yeah, that's why we kind of nixed the stream. It wasn't going to happen. There was no way we were going to pull that off. And then I've been grappling with it a little bit since then. It's been a really slow recovery. The main thing I'm dealing with now is just this lingering congestion, which they say adenovirus can linger for weeks in just a little bit of a thing. So I guess we're just stuck with this for a while. So that's fun. I can really feel that my voice is a little on the weak side. So we'll see. If the throat clearing gets really annoying, please tell me, and I'll try to do something about it. So yeah, I loved I wanted to. I shared pictures in the Discord. I was sharing pictures of all the food as well because the food was absolutely delicious, and I loved all of it up to the point when I got sick and couldn't eat it. So that was unfortunate. The country is so beautiful. We can talk all about the trip as much as you want. Good to see you. I did start a little bit early today because I don't know. I think we're just gonna putz through this Lego set, which is over here. Ooh, we're getting a little shine off my lights. Um, the Lego Kingfisher. We're gonna crack this guy open today and get working. I know it's not my normal wheelhouse. I've done Legos a few times. I have never done it here in the kitchen. I didn't want to move my whole setup because that causes all sorts of weird errors. So we're just going to try doing it right here on the countertop with the good camera right there. I have a spare light just in case we want to light this up more. I can get extra light, but we might not need it. And I got a chair so I can sit here, and I got water, so we're all good. Yeah. One of the things that's been a big impact is that I've had very little appetite, which is another reason I don't want to do a big cook because I doubt I'll eat the whole thing. I've been having pretty small meals and been moving slow. So yeah, I also don't know how the camera is going to work out really well because I'm going to sit here. Yeah, you can see me. Hi. But I'll be facing this way most of the time. I'll have to look over to see you. I suppose we now have the. Ugh, I can already tell you I don't want this light here. We'll keep the light waiting in the wings just in case lighting is an issue. Here's the light. Turns out this light fits inside of that light, and and it has a screw in just the right spot, so I can make a double light, and then they each have their own settings levels for a really super customizable light. We haven't had much opportunity to use it, but that's like a good thing. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. That's a good meal too. Sounds like I've had a lot of hot dogs this past week. Um, because one of the things the doctor said was get protein, um, and it's also supposed to be low fiber. So you know, a hot dog on a white bun sounds like just the kind of thing. Oh, anyways, yeah. So here we are. I'm back. Hello, Zizan. Hello, hello. Hi, hi. Welcome, welcome. We're just about to open the box. I think we're gonna putz through this, but who knows? Um, so yeah, Costa Rica. It is an absolutely beautiful country, and I strongly recommend visiting it if you're able. It's surprisingly affordable as well. Well, I say surprisingly in part because the prices of things. Saizan, you're not first. Oh, by the way, Raya, you're first. Congratulations. And Saizan, you're not first. Congratulations. Thank you for the moisten, Saizan. Mm, moist. My voice isn't really up to doing weird voices right now, so moist. And also, we're going to try to remember to drink a lot of that water over the course of today instead of not. um, see if we can't get this open without demolishing the box. So yeah, Costa Rica, beautiful country. We started out and ended actually in the big city. Oh crap, I'm blanking. San Jose, the big city. So there's a lot of signs and billboards with prices of things on them, so we could compare prices. They're obviously listed in colones, not dollars. But when you do the conversions, stuff costs, for the most part, around the same as it does here. Some things are a little cheaper, but most of the stuff is like around the same price, uh, except like accommodations, tourism. That stuff is really very cheap by comparison. What we priced out one of the luxury because our travel organization set us up at some luxury resort places. Um, the price went out and it was $140 a night for just like a 5-star luxury resort. It was amazing. Oh hey, there's number one. And our instructions. The Lego here, this was a birthday present. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to dig in on it. I haven't done, oh, and actually, there's a, that's not the same Kingfisher. That's not the same Kingfisher that the Lego was made out of. Um, there we go. I think I'm going to attempt to build here. We could slide things around if you want it to be more centered. I think we will do that actually. Try to put it there. What was I saying? Costa Rica, beautiful country. But yeah, the prices of things, like the price of internet was $60 a month. We saw that on a big sign. Um, but the internet they were advertising was very fast internet. They have very good internet there. Um, oh, that's another thing. There was Wi-Fi everywhere. It was pretty snappy, and it was mostly just open access, which is not something you find in America. Everyone's real stingy and they put passwords on all their things. Um, Costa Rica, most places have Wi-Fi, and they just have it available either unlocked, or all you have to do is ask, or they literally just have the password on the wall somewhere. Ugh, I'm using the scissors. But yeah, so we started out in a hotel. I didn't get a SIM card. I decided that I was going to, because we were told in advance that all the hotels would have Wi-Fi. So I figured that I would just take photos on my phone, and when we got back to the hotel, uh, then I could interact with the Wi-Fi. And it just turned out that, yes, all the hotels had Wi-Fi, but also every restaurant we went to had Wi-Fi. Any stop we had where there was a building had Wi-Fi. So it was just like it was everywhere. Um, so I didn't buy a SIM card. They were selling them at the airport though. But as I wasn't really going to do that, I didn't look at the prices. I know one of our group did get an eSIM card and was having issues with it. So I'm not sure what that tells you. There's our brick separator and our step one. This long Technic hole. I don't know the names of any Lego pieces. This one and a little blue guy, and we just start it out. We actually saw this Kingfisher, not the one that they claim this is. They claim this is a common Kingfisher, and we didn't see a common Kingfisher. And I also disagree that this is a common Kingfisher. This looks like a ringed Kingfisher to me. So take that, Lego. I think you're wrong. Let's see. Getting out our little pieces. I'm assuming these are white and red just so that you can tell them apart side to side. But like we stopped at a gas station at one point for some snacks, and I bought a bag of chips, and the bag of chips was about $3 for a little medium-sized bag of chips, which is about what I can get them at the local gas station up the road from me. So that's what I mean by things generally cost about the same. Um, on the other hand, our guide, Jimmy, told us at one point that he pays. So they have national health care. They have to pay for it. It's not free. They all pay a annual fee to be part of the national healthcare system. And our guide, Jimmy, says that he paid $25 a year to be part of their national healthcare system, and that's all he has to pay. Um, so, they're also doing stuff a lot better than we are in a lot of cases. There's a lot of fascinating things like that. 25% of the country, of the entire land area of the country, is national parks, protected national parks. and yet their main industry is farming. Their main export industry is farming. So they can do both, which, is quite telling. And maybe it's not as hard to do that as, I don't know, people around here claim. Oh, we can't protect all this land. We have to use it for farming. No, obviously not. Um, we're getting out this piece. We're getting out a weird piece. What is this? I've never seen that piece before. But it looks like it's just as simple as pushing that through. I'm not sure what we're building at this point. Probably the structure that lets the bird sit up at an upward angle. We try to guess what we're doing when we get to these steps. Maybe even like the inner body of it. Tough to say. A lot of these little parts at the moment with the swiveling pegs suggesting there's going to be motion coming up. So yeah, we started in San Jose because that was a meeting point. The hotel was near the airport. Multiple people were coming in from different places at different times, so it was just we're all meeting in San Jose at this hotel. Oh, that goes there. This is an interesting build already. I'm not sure what all we're doing. Oh, and there was a piece I missed. A little guy goes right there. I wonder if this is the wings. I don't know. Oh no, this is not. Okay. This is Lego. Flemish. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the 8th month in a row. You almost have a baby. You almost have a Twitch baby. Thank you so much. I'm talking a little bit about the trip, but I'm not sure what to talk. Not sure exactly what to talk about, other than I really liked it. um, Empanada. Hold on. Let me shout out Empanada. I can do it. Hi, I'm over here. When I'm building, you kind of see the side of my head, and I have to lean over. I misspelled your name. Gotcha. What was my favorite part? Oh God. I have two least favorite parts, two separate least favorite parts, if you want to talk about that. But my favorite part, boy, I really liked the volcano. Our last major stop was, and I think I posted pictures of it in Discord. I took pictures for sure. Um, Volcan Irazu. Volcan Irazu was just great. A lot of the trip had been very much nature focused. We were in rainforest. We were learning about chocolate and pineapple and coffee and banana and a lot of birds. And then that last trip was just like, here's a volcano. It's an active volcano. It hasn't erupted since the 60s, but it is still an active volcano. Um, and it was refreshing, and I liked it a lot. Um, um, I am also, of course, into geology, so that was a very nice stop for that, for one of my main interests. That doesn't come up a lot. Um, as for least favorite, no, it's we did not see lava. It's not that kind of volcano. Uh, Volcanoes in Costa Rica are not lava volcanoes. They're explosive volcanoes. So they explode with a big ash cloud, and they throw ash and cinders, and there was chunks of scoria, which I did not bring back, but there was chunks of scoria just scattered around up in the caldera, which we walked around in. um, I did not taste this lava. I have tasted lava, cold lava, cooled lava. um, The caldera was very shallow. It's quite old at this point. Um, the actively erupting volcano is a bit farther over, and that one is not accessible to the public because it's dangerous. Um, the 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 caldera we were on hasn't done anything for 60 years. Um, we're doing little Lego-y things here. This part all looks very technical to me, and I'm not really latching on to what we're building at this point yet. Um, so yes, it was very shallow, and most when I handled the material that was covering it, it definitely had ash in it because it left ash on my hands. Um, but it was mostly crushed volcanic rock, which means that it's quite old. It's being eroded and ground down. Um, my least favorite part of the trip, I had one very least favorite day, which was the day I got very sick, and you saw pictures of me in the clinic getting an IV. Um, that that was definitely my least favorite part of the trip. That clinic, as nice as they were, and as effective as they were, I did not like the that day. But also, before the clinic, I was already not having a good day. That stop, that was Miguel Antonio, which is the most visited national park in Costa Rica. It is a beautiful location, and I was looking forward to it a lot. But it was extremely crowded with tourists, which made it not the most pleasant stop. Granted, I was suffering at that stage, and my memory of it is definitely tainted by the fact that I got sick and that I was sick. No, we're pushing this aside. We don't know for sure how I got sick. Oh, we're making two of these. We don't know for sure how I got sick. I'm pretty sure I got two separate things because there were two distinct sets of symptoms that members of our group had, and I got both sets. There was the respiratory bit with the cough and the sore throat, and there was the digestive bit, which I don't want to get gross about, but you can imagine it was rather extreme because it was the digestive bit that ultimately got me going to both the clinic in Costa Rica and then urgent care a week later when I got back to the States. So it was rather rough. And some people only got one and not the other, and I got the both. But as for the source, I suspect the digestive bit was something that we ate while we were there. But not something that everyone ate because only some of us got it. So it was something at one of the stops. I think we're building the main body of the bird right now. I think that's what's going on here. The respiratory bit, I might even have brought it with me. I didn't experience any symptoms until I got there, but it was just 2 days into the trip when I first got the sore throat. And after I got back here, I've heard tell that there was a bit of an outbreak of some respiratory sickness going around in my hometown here among people I know. So I might have been a carrier for that and just not known. How could I possibly? We didn't have any bushmeat. All the food was great. By the way, speaking of food, all the food was fabulous, and I was very sad when I got sick because it meant that I stopped eating the food. I got sick on the day we arrived at. It was the Miguel Antonio stop, but that was our first stop, Oceanside, and I had been looking forward to that as well because we hadn't really had much seafood because we've been inland up in the mountains for a lot of it. And I really wanted some Costa Rican seafood on the sea. But ceviche seemed like quite a bad idea with gut problems, so we skipped that. Also, I wasn't very hungry, so it would have been a waste. Or rather, I wasn't hungry at all, so it would have been a waste. No, we never ate monkey. Our guide kept joking that he was going to feed us iguana. That never came to pass. I would have eaten iguana if he'd actually come up with it. I don't think the rest of the group would have been on board. Oh, this isn't the bird. This is the circle that the bird sits on. We're building the circle that the bird sits on. They do have iguanas down there. It is, however, illegal to eat them. If you want to eat iguana, I would suggest going to Florida, where iguanas are invasive and you are encouraged to eat them. It is illegal to hunt, full stop, in Costa Rica. All the wildlife, except for fish, are protected. because they have suffered in the past from overhunting on a pretty large scale, because they were a colonial, they were colonized by the Spanish, so they lived under colonial rule. And much like anywhere that's been under colonial rule, the colonial powers just abused the heck out of the local environment. Yep, I've dropped a Lego. I have dropped a Lego. They have white-tailed deer. They have white-tailed deer, the same deer we have up here. White-tailed deer in Costa Rica. They are extremely rare. They're endangered in Costa Rica. Because they were hunted almost to oblivion. Their environment suffered actually a lot of damage from the colonial period and the post-colonial period, which is part of why they are so protective, why they've gone out of their way to set aside so much land to be just protected land. And it's paid off. I need to make 8 of these little curve pieces. I suppose if the iguana attacks you, you can defend yourself from it. But I think if you then also tried to eat it, they'd come get you. But I too think iguana sounds pretty good and would give it a go. I would like to attempt to cook some of the things I encountered down there, especially the fried plantains. Apparently, you just need to slowly fry them at a low temperature, and the natural sugars caramelize and make just a beautiful thing. I need a little bowl. Fortunately, we're in the kitchen, so little bowl to contain extra pieces. Bag 2 already. Clearly we've made the circle that the bird sits on. Bag Folie à deux. Bag Folie à deux. I did not see that movie, Folie à deux. I didn't see the first one either. Something, we live in a society. Sorry about that. Oh, I didn't. We stopped at some touristy gift shop places. I didn't look for a cookbook. I also didn't see a cookbook. I think we're making the water. I'm pretty confident we're now making the water. Keep the scissors out here. So no, I didn't get a cookbook. That would have been maybe a good idea. What else inspired me beyond the plane? We had multiple different flans, And I've always wanted to try making proper flan. Um, oh, the thing that was, there's no way I can recreate it because it was just a matter of, oh, damn. Every single meal we had was accompanied with fresh fruit. Um, Pineapple, papaya, watermelon, banana, cantaloupe. Those were the ones we saw regularly. And they were amazing. They were amazing. Fresh tropical fruit in the tropics. We visited a pineapple plantation. Hi, Bookwoman. I don't remember getting any mango. Maybe I was sick then. I don't recall getting any mango personally. A lot of papaya, a lot of papaya, a lot of pineapple. Pineapple basically every time. Um, I did skip a lot of the fruit during the second half of the thing, so perhaps I missed mango. Um, but we visited a pineapple plantation, and oh my god, the pineapple was so good. Fresh tropical fruit in the tropics tastes so much better than crappy store-bought tropical fruit that had to be picked green and shipped 1,000 miles, more than 1,000 miles, to get to me. The pineapples were just so good, so good, so perfect. Um, where does this go? Oh, it goes here. Mango hollandaise. I did not have that. Um, let me pull up Discord. I took some pictures and see if I remember these. Bookwoman, thank you so much for the resub. 30 months on Prime. 30 months on Bezos's dime. That's the way to do it. What did I take pictures of? Oh, the um uh Chiche Frijo. That last picture with the beautiful kitchen. That was a little local restaurant. They didn't speak any English. We had to have our guide translate. I could read the menu well enough to work out what I was looking at. Um, that last bowl in the Discord, um, it was called Super Chiche Frijo. We need 6 of these guys. That was really good. It was rice and beans on the bottom, circle of chips. But the main event was, it was deep fried pork. They were like pieces. They were like, I don't know, little cubes. I couldn't quite tell what cut they were. I bet you they'd be really good with belly. I suspect they were they weren't as a decadent as a pork belly, but I bet you could do it with belly. Chicharron is different. There were chicharron in this. That's the thing. My bowl that I took a picture of had 2 different kinds of fried pork. It had chicharron, and then it had the fried skin, the crispy fried skin. but then it had chunks of meat that were also deep fried. And the whole thing was called chiche frijo. I missed those parts. There we go. So it was chicharrones, the other fried pork, on top of rice and beans with chips around the side, with a pile of pico de gallo on top, a jalapeno pepper, which I had to push aside sadly, and like half an avocado. Um, it was really tasty. Because of tummy issues, I did not eat the whole thing, unfortunately, but it was very tasty. And if I hadn't had tummy issues, it is definitely the kind of thing that I would have just demolished. 1, 2. Yeah, it was very unfortunate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I see what I did. That does not go there. It goes there. These two go side by side here. And then we take the remaining 4 and fill it in. And fill it in. Oh my God, yes, and birds. That was the main event for me, for sure. Was oh, I missed the same thing. I had to do these little end bits. Um, we ended up with, I ended up with 167 birds, most of them new for my life list. Um, just gobs of birds. Every new stop was birds. Uh, most of the stops we saw birds that were completely different from anything we saw at a previous stop. It was just this constant. It was just constant. There was so many birds. Um, we did find some of the rarities that I was hoping for. We found the resplendent quetzal, which, if you don't know what that is, take a moment right now to look it up. It's um, it's a heck of a bird, spelled with a Q. And it was singing, and their song is not nearly as flashy as their feathers, but he was singing. He was drop the Lego, drop the recipe for chiche frijo. Well, I'll compare with what I've got. I was looking for inspiration. The tomato soup was, oh, the crepe. The crepe was quite good. Fruit platter. Oh, the chicken and the plantain fries. But I thought that the chicken, I forgot to ask them. So I don't even have a name for it. Um, but it's got to be searchable. sort of traditional chicken thing. It was this just this just spins great, doesn't it? It was our stop at the banana plantation, um, where we helped prepare the meal. In so much as we uh, cut up a bunch of ingredients and smashed the plantains. Oop, that one has a little number on it. They all have a little number on it. They all have slightly different numbers on them. But the chicken they served us, it was swimming in oil. It felt like it had been slow deep fried in, I assume, either palm oil or lard. It was fall off the bone tender. Like it was on the bone, but it was just fall off the bone tender. Um, and yeah, it was served in a spiced, but not spicy. That's the thing. The food was not spicy, and that was something our guide told us right at the start. This is not Mexico. Don't think that the food is going to be full of chili peppers here. Um, it was all very flavorful, but they didn't make it spicy. Uh, this is just a million of these little clear 1x2s. But that chicken, which I did get a picture of, it was absolutely fall off the bone tender. Um, the the sauce, you say it was a sauce. That wasn't really a sauce. Most of what's in that pot is oil, um, which was very flavorful, and I don't know what all the flavors were, and I'm kicking myself that I did not follow up at that time for more details because it was very good. That was very good, and that was the kind. I did get the impression for some of the places we stayed, the resort hotel type places that we stayed, that they were deliberately serving food that was designed for the tourist palate. These light blue pips have a sprue mark right on the peg, and they all have it exactly the same place. Um, 8 more of these 1x2s. Oh, yeah. So we might dig in and try to recreate that one. I think my voice is coming back as I talk more. I think not talking was kind of making my voice weaker. The fried plantains that we made alongside them were also very good and pretty easy. Oh, and the thing, I don't know if I even got a picture of it because it kind of flew under my radar until we were talking about it after the fact. We got a picture of it. It's in that green bowl. It's like a looks like a potato salad. It's banana salad. It's green banana, like unripe green banana that they treated like potatoes, and then they made banana salad out of it. That was a very interesting thing as well. And they were like, well, now when you at home when you find green bananas, you know what to do with them. And I guess I'd never considered that you could just because green bananas are quite starchy, and I never really considered that you could just treat them like a starch. A lot of slowly building up this water, presumably to give it some illusion of depth in the finished thing. Um, Now the mashed, flattened, and fried, we did that. We did that with the plantains, where we cut them into, I don't know, chunks about that long, fried them, took them out of the oil, smashed them flat, fried them again, so they were crisp. Those were very good. That was like the main thing they were showing us. Um, but it was a banana plantation, so they were just like, these are things you can do with bananas. Um, this is a whole bunch of stuff you can do with bananas and plantains, which are a type of banana. Um, the banana plantation was also a lot more vibrant. We did stop as just a roadside stop at a pineapple plantation with no hosts. And boy, pineapple plantations are kind of bleak. Um, they the pineapple doesn't like growing with other plants, and as a result, they kind of make it just a monoculture with nothing living in it. They even put down tarp under the pineapples with holes cut where the pineapple grows out of it. Um, so it's a really like mono crop field of just pineapple and nothing else going on in there. Um, Pineapple's a major export, and that's why they do it. It's a big money maker, but yeah, they're not the nicest. They're not the nicest places. Um, the oil palm and banana plantations. That's how a lot of crops go, but the oil palm and banana plantations, because they're trees, they keep the underneath them like trimmed so there's not massive overgrowth, but there's still other plants growing. And at the banana plantation, there were lots of birds in amongst the bananas, all different stuff. Um, Whereas the pineapple plantation, there was nothing else going on there. Um, um, let's see. We're on step 35, where we are filling in more water. A lot of water. A lot of water at the start of this. So, just the way the bananas are grown, or sorry, the way the pineapple is grown, kind of makes it a little bit of a harsh place. Um, and oil palm is a big a big crop there as well, in part because they used to be a huge banana producer, but I don't know if you've. Bananas aren't terribly expensive. Um, so they're still a banana producer, but bananas are way less profitable than they used to be. So they're just growing less bananas than they used to. Whereas oil palm, yes, the oil palm, that's the one of the big environmental boogeymen, is very profitable. Even though it's cheap, because the oil palm plants just produce so much, and you barely need to do anything to them. Um, they really are just planted and they take care of themselves, and all you've got to do is harvest. And the harvesting is pretty much the same equipment that you need for harvesting bananas. So they already had all of it. So it was just like they just started planting that. Um, we didn't actually stop at an oil palm plantation, so I didn't get a close look at how the environment around the oil palms is doing. Um, they do seem like they're heavily shaded wood areas because the oil palms create a lot of shade. But we also visited a part, it was actually the slopes of the volcano, um, where they grow food crops for domestic use. Potatoes, onions, carrots. Oh my God, the carrots. I took a picture of the carrots. I don't think I posted it. The carrots. We kept getting carrots in our meals. They'd be, some carrot um, in the mixed vegetables. Every carrot we saw was like they were slices. They were slices of carrot. They were like this big around. Every single one we saw. They were enormous. And at one point, we did stop at a local grocery store, just a little local grocery store, and they had carrots, and the carrots were this big around. They were the same length as a normal carrot, and they tapered down to a little point, but they were just this fattest thing, and then um, so I guess carrots grow extremely well in the tropics. um, I'm not really commenting much on what I'm building because it is very much, we're making the splash that the bird is splashing out of. Um, but yeah, so I didn't I didn't follow up at the time, but by the sound of our guide's description, they don't import much food to Costa Rica. They're able to grow pretty much what they need at home, in addition to growing more banana, pineapple, etc., for export. These have got to be the reeds, the bottoms of the reeds, right? Eight more of these along the edge. I did not bring any super wide carrots. Unfortunately, oh boy, the TSA, the TSA are kind of dicks. I filled up my bottle of water at the airport in Costa Rica after we went through the airport check. Uh, and when we got to Atlanta, they said, "You got a bottle of water. You got to get rid of that." So I had to pour it out in the trash can in Atlanta, and then I had to refill it with disgusting Atlanta water. I don't know if you've had the water at Atlanta's airport. It is actively disgusting. It tastes like pool water. It's so heavily chlorinated. They said, "Oh, you can't bring the water in. It has to be treated." Uh, Costa Rica has clean tap water. And then they make me, and then they make the water, and it was terrible. It was and I needed the water because I needed a lot of water at that point. Um, it was awful. Um, so you know what, Atlanta, get better water because your water's bad. Like it didn't just taste like pool water. It smelled like you filled up the bottle and you could smell the chlorine coming off of it. I probably got sick because I drank Atlanta water on the way through the first time. I actually had no alcohol at all on the entire trip. I decided early on that I wasn't going to have any alcohol on the trip, except maybe at the end as like a celebratory thing. Um, Because for one thing, I knew it was going to be hot and sweaty, and I didn't want to mess with my hydration at all going into that. But also because alcohol can disrupt my sleep, and I often have sleep problems traveling as well, and I didn't want to disrupt that. So I made the decision early on not to go for any alcohol. But then after I got sick, I just didn't have any at all. I couldn't bear it. Um, Now we turn this way because we're putting splashes in on the other side. These little splashy pieces. They make them very easy to see on the instructions. I don't know if they're kind of small for you. These are really tough to actually like see as you're putting them on. It's a clear piece on a clear piece, so you can see the clear piece underneath. So I didn't have any alcohol. There wasn't at any stage any like local alcohol to try. And I don't know, Atlanta beer doesn't sound like a particularly appealing prospect. They probably make it with gross Atlanta water. Yeah, I'm gonna keep calling out Atlanta water. It was it was really terrible. Um, this I think will be a little more interesting when we get past the splash here. The splash is a very sort of monotonous, tedious little thing we're doing. Atlanta, Georgia. They actually have, well, yeah, Atlanta, Georgia. We were in the airport. I'm sure that there's nice things in Georgia proper, but my only experience of it with it so far is the airport. I think that's my first time in the Atlanta airport as well. I've always gone through uh, either Minneapolis or Detroit because I've never flown south on any previous trip, at least not directly south. Your buddy works as a flavorist for Coke. So your buddy is to blame for all these weird Coke flavors no one asked for. I see. We're building the reeds now. No, I kid. I tried that. I tried it here on stream actually. I tried that Oreo Coke, and it was a decision someone made. Yup. Oh, that's interesting. We're using the interior of the little peg as a holder to stabilize these reed bases. I find Coke too expensive these days. So I haven't had any of the recent flavors except the Oreo one because that one sounded weird enough to warrant doing as a taste test with the with you guys. Um, I'm also just not drinking a lot of soda anymore. Uh, okay, okay. A lot of loose bits and pieces still go. Oh, okay. I spoke too soon. We are going full bore on these reads. Also, did I say hi, Triple? Hi, Triple. We just kind of started talking like you'd been here the whole time, like Sam Reich, who's been here the whole time. Hi. Quite a few extra bits and pieces out of that one. But look, our splash and the bottom of our reeds is taking shape. This is clearly the base upon which we're going to mount the actual bird. What time is it? 5:30. Bag the third. Oh my. Bag the third has one very obvious striking piece. That stands out from the crowd. Which means I know what part we're building. And it is bird body. So I've been talking about me for quite some time now. What have you guys been up to while I was gone? It's been now 3 weeks. It was going to be 2 weeks, but it's now been 3 weeks. Spear! Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Get your butt in here. You've already done it. Good job. I'm going to have a drink of water. Oh, and we are setting this thing aside. The next stage does not call for it. The next stage calls for these pieces. If I get hungry at any point, we'll whip up a quick dinner. Canyonlands in Utah. I have been to Utah. I don't think I've been to Canyonlands. I was in Salt Lake City and then in the middle of the desert. Did you say Candyland? Amazing. Just like the movie. IKEA garlic press. The, which one? I got a new thing. I got a new microplane grater. This one is very sharp. It's slightly different size from our old one. And it has a non-slip thingy on the bottom so you can grate over the top. I didn't get any kitchen tools while traveling. So how was Canyonlands? And did you post any pictures? We have a new section of the Discord, which I hope I've set up correctly so that everyone can post pictures of travel slash being outside. Sometimes the travel is just you went outside. It is super wide, and I don't have any wide carrots. I'm amazed at how wide the carrots were. I remain amazed at how wide the carrots were. Um, I thought these got to be special carrots they're getting for these fancy resorts because the resorts we were at were very fancy. They they went ham. It should be for everybody. I hope I set the permissions correctly when I set it up. Yeah, in Discord. I hope I set the permissions accurately when I set it up. That one and the animals channel should, in theory, both be postable by anyone. Yeah, the only channels I'm reserving for myself are the ones specifically for my food, just because I post a lot of food, and then the announcements because that's my announcements panel. So let me know if I set that up wrong and if you can't access it, and I'll get in there and fix it. But it should in theory be postable by anyone. And I'd love to see whatever. Hey, Ryu is on top of the game with the Discord. As usual. Sometimes I think Ryu is better at this than me. This is definitely going to be where the wings are mounted. These angled pegs. That's where we're headed with that for sure. Oh, and this is going to be the underside of the bird, I think. Let's see. No, I want to see. I want to see your things. I want to see your things. Oh, with those colors, I thought we were going to start seeing some of the exterior of the bird because the belly is this brownish orange color, but that's all internal, I think. That's a funny looking piece. That's a funny way to make a piece. One, one, one of a bunch of things. One, and two. But yeah, no, I figured if I'm traveling, I should post some pictures, and I normally don't take any pictures, so even though it seems like I didn't do as much as I think I probably should have, it's way more than I've done in any other trip ever. I'm just terrible about remembering to take pictures. Oh, I see. We are making symmetrical. So that same thing again, but in reverse. That's not right. That's not right. I need the flat one. There you are. What else did we do with the trip? Oh gosh, we did two separate boat trips where we loaded onto a tour boat. You know, just a little flat bottom roofed thing, and they took us out on the river, on two separate rivers, and both of the river trips they were quite different from each other, um, and they were both just amazing. The first one was just a river in somewhere in the middle of the country, um, and we just sort of it was just see some of the river. I don't know that there was any greater point to it than here we are on the river, enjoy the river a bit. There was quite a few birds out, which was good for me because I was there to see birds first and foremost. But we got some history of farming uh, along the river. Apparently, the waterways have suffered quite a bit of overfishing, and a lot of the native fish are just extinct. And there's no record of them because records weren't kept until after the extinctions. So we can make some educated guesses that there's a bunch of missing stuff because the fish in the rivers are mostly trout that are from a completely different part of the world. Uh, but what used to be there is wasn't written down. Nobody wrote it down. So that's unfortunate. Oops, that's the wrong way. It goes this way. And then we take the whole thing and we go zoop, zoop. You put on more. Oh, Oh, this is the tail. I recognize this part. I recognize the part that we are building. This is the tail. It's these funny looking parts. Nope, nope, it's these funny looking parts like this. And then they swivel so that we can have the tail be a little splayed out thingy. That's the tail end. And this is the back, which we don't start with the big shell, but we use it real quick. Yeah, I was in Utah ages ago as part of an Earthwatch Expeditions trip where we went out in the desert and we dug up dinosaurs. And we actually dug up real dinosaurs. Uh, It wasn't like a, oh, you'll find little fragments here and there type thing. Um, this was an active dig site, and the paleontologist in charge definitely kind of was using the program as a way to get people in the door so that he could have extra hands um, digging without having to pay them. Um, so maybe slightly shady on that front. He had two grad students and then like eight people who paid to be there. Oh, that's an interesting way to connect these parts together. Ooh, and it's a snug fit. Ooh, it's a snappy fit. Oh, don't think this guy's coming apart anytime soon. Well, I did. um, First of all, we didn't know we were being exploited. Most of us, it was our first trip, and the only other one I'd been on was also digging as a primary thing. This one was a little bit more. You could kind of feel that he slightly begrudged because they had to submit a whole program. Um, and you could kind of feel like he did plan out things. We did things other than just dig in the desert, but you got the vibe that he wasn't really interested in the whole like teaching the guests about various things. He really wanted to get back to that dig site. Whenever we were doing something else, he was he was very educational, but he kind of wanted to go back to that dig site and keep working. And now I set this aside. This looks like a fish. I set this fish aside and start working on the next bit. But at one site, he took us to a a sauropod. No, it was just dinosaur eggshell. It was dinosaur eggshell site, a place where dinosaur eggshells were eroding out of a hillside. Um, and he wouldn't tell us where it was because he didn't want people to show up without him. And he kind of went, shh, don't tell anybody, and then let us take some of the eggshells because they have no real scientific value. They're just fragments, little. They're the size of Lego pieces. I think the biggest one we found was about this big. Um, so they have no scientific value, but you're not supposed to take them. Um, he can take them because he's licensed, and he was just kind of extending that license to us because he knew there was no real value in them, but they're cool. So that was cool. And then I got to work on, because I had a late flight. This guy was the state paleontologist of Utah. He was not just some guy. um, at the very end, because my flight was very late, um, I hung out in his lab back in Salt Lake City, and just to kill time, he let me work on a fossil that they had been preparing that had not yet been described. So at that point, it was an unpublished dinosaur fossil. You'll be able to find it now because he published it. It's called Diabloceratops. When I was working on it, it was unnamed fossil. Oh, hey, our base is coming back, and we're attaching our bird butt to it. Huh, I thought those wing flaps would go up, but they go down. Also, the back doesn't quite line up. I hope that's not a problem. It hasn't shown me an angle yet where I can see how well that's supposed to line up. Everything seems tight. A little yellow patch for apparently a little yellow belly on the bottom of this guy. Little yellow belly hidden underneath the bottom of this guy. Well, yes, I did work on Diablo before it was known. Exactly. Diabloceratops was a very cool, like even the unprepared fossil that I was seeing at that point, you could tell this thing was cool. They had, it was such an unexpected shape. The horns were such an unexpected shape that they accidentally cut through the horns twice trying to get the thing out of the rock. Oh, that's not right. And you could see the cut marks where they were just kind of sawed halfway through one of the horns. It was like, oop, there's a horn there. Better stop. That little ledge. Yeah, it's not quite flush, but I'm hoping it's supposed to be like that. But yeah, he has these the Diabloceratops. It's a ceratopsian, so it has the horns and the frill on the back of its head, and then off of the frill, it has these two big curved horns that stick out like twice the length of the thing. And they clearly didn't know where they were when they were cutting this thing out of the rock the first time, because there's a saw mark halfway up it, and then there's a saw mark like 3/4 of the way up it, where they kind of were like, "Oh shoot, stop that! Don't cut that part." We're building a little brown fronty bit, kinda. So don't blame me for the damage to Diabloceratops. It was literally like that when I got there. What are we? These are weird little parts. Oh, these are his feet. These are the bird feet. We're building little bird feet. Yeah, we need for each foot. We need one of those, one of those, one of those, two of these, and two of these. And they're identical, I think. says make it twice, so I assume. Apparently they couldn't make little claws out of any other parts because this is a custom mold for sure. Ooh, other way around. Little bird feet. Little bird feet. Boy, I would be getting hungry right now if I was still normal. I don't. We're a little bit more than halfway through this. I don't know that we're going to finish the whole thing today. It seems like that would be quite a long haul. Because we'd be looking at about a 3-hour thing if I don't take any breaks. Two little bird feet. And then the little bird feet go in those two little holes that we left underneath the bird. I'm going to give them a slight jaunty angle instead of straight like they have them in the thing. And then 4. We never used these vented slopes. I must have missed them. Where does it call for these vented slopes? Oh. Oh. Oh no. That's a few steps back. That's a couple steps back. Okay, the feet come off. The body comes off. The vented slopes are supposed to be here and here. And then the body has to go back on, completely covering them, except for a teensy tiny gray triangle on the side. And then the feet go back on. Okay, that wasn't too bad. You always hate to get to a part in a Lego set where you're like, how many steps back do I have to go? These feet back at their ever so slight jaunty angle. He's coming along. He looks like a fish with feet. He looks like a fish with feet. Oh. And then we set him aside again and we get out. Bag 4. There are only 6 bags, so this is our halfway point according to bag totals. Oh. Trying to gauge if I'm hungry enough for a meal, and I think we're probably getting there. This might be a good opportunity to stop and make a quick dinner. I've already opened this bag. But I'm going to backtrack us just slightly. Let's stop for a moment. We'll keep that page bookmarked. Let's stop for a moment. I'm going to stand up. Oh, long-term sitting on this chair. Oh, definitely a little bit of a lean over. I can feel it in my back. I'm going to whip up a small, quick, easy dinner. That. Oh. What are you having for dinner? I know Ryu said maybe grilled cheese and tomato soup, which sounds good to me. I won't be having that, but it does sound good. I'm going to have an old standby for me. Let me assemble a few ingredients. We need an onion. And we need a clippers to retrieve said onion. Patsy, hello. Welcome, welcome. We are currently, actually I should change my category. We are currently, for a moment at least, switching to cooking, and I will make a small dinner, and then we will go back and see how much longer we do on Legos. We're making excellent progress. We've got what looks like a fish and some stovepipes coming out of a splash. Welcome in, Patsy. Let's see. You can, this is an opportunity for me to cook something more akin to what I cook when I'm not doing show cooking. How much do these usually want? 2 cups of water. 2 cups seems like a lot. boil some water. How's it going? I'm on the mend. Still feeling the effects, which is why I'm not doing a big elaborate cook today. And we were chatting a little bit. Talking about the old Costa Rica trip. Talking a bit about, I don't know, odds and ends. Just kind of vibing and chilling. Pack of instant ramen noodles, 1 egg, super large, extra jumbo large, some green onion, some of that, which you can't tell what it is from the top, and some sesame seeds. We did. I did. That's where I've been. That's where I've been. Well, that's for the first 2 weeks I was gone. That's where I was. Um, Mostly a nature-focused trip to Costa Rica, and then I got quite sick. So last Monday when I wasn't here, I was quite sick. I was back in the U.S., but I was quite sick. I'm still not quite fully through it. It was a great trip. I kind of got off track. I'm getting easily sort of wandering off topic. I didn't tell you about some of the resorts. The first hotel was just in the city. The second one was straight up in rainforest. It was stilt cabins out in the rainforest, connected by covered walkways. And they had a bird feeder at the restaurant area. And it makes sense when you think about it, but I was surprised to see it the first time. The bird feeders are just full of fruit. They don't put seeds out for the birds. They put fruit out for the birds. They take plantains, cut them in half, put them out there. They take a papaya, cut it in half, put it out there. Because, of course, that's what the birds are eating in the tropics. They're eating fruit. They don't have sunflowers and all these grains and grasses that are producing seeds out there. They have all these trees that are making fruit. So the first time, when I first got there and I saw it, I was like, that's weird. But then it made sense. And then the next lodge. The next lodge was the one where we were supposed to have he went to hang out with them, the Morley Gray paleontologist. I think he retired, so easy to hang out with now. Oh, sorry, excuse me. That keeps happening too. We're going to boil some water. We're going to oil this pan a little bit. We've got scallions, we've got crispy garlic, we've got sesame seeds. I don't want to go super elaborate. I feel like I should get a veggie in there. Flying to Costa Rica was not very cheap. Being in Costa Rica was very affordable. We need the cutting board, which means I need to move this light because I put it on the cutting board. I'm going to throw some mushrooms in just to zhuzh this up a little bit. I can't help myself with the zhuzh. Get over here. Get over here. So the first two hotels, and they were hotels. They were like resort hotels, but they were just out in the rainforest. The second one had no glass on the windows, and in fact, the like main building had no nothing on the windows. It was just straight up open air at all times. The individual rooms had screens on the windows, which was nice. Not that there was actually a lot of bugs. That was the other interesting thing. There were, I think I saw one mosquito the entire trip. Um, Granted, we were there in the dry season, um, but I was expecting a lot more insects, especially since our hotels were just out in rainforest. I sliced up some mushrooms. I'm gonna fry them up in that pan real quick. Get that pan warming. Oh. Our hotel after that was a very traditional, classic, like touristy hotel. It was beach adjacent. It had air conditioning and a TV and all the bells and whistles. And I was kind of on that one. And then the last one was the hardest one to get to. It was it was called Savegre. Um, there's a whole bunch of resort hotel things in the area. They're all hard to get to. The only access is a one lane, switchback, bumpy, cliffside thing that I would never drive on my own. We had a phenomenal driver who could navigate all this stuff. I would never dare to drive on this on my own. Um, but when you get down there, it's all these little lodges sort of dotted up the slopes of this canyon. And the canyon is just completely filled with rainforest. Well, not rainforest, dry tropic forest. It wasn't the same kind of forest. It was much colder for one thing. Like we were up in the mountains, and our guide warned us because we had just come from literally sea level where it was 90 degrees, um, that it was going to be chilly. We had a high of the 60s while we were up there, and it got actually cold enough for coats overnight. Not frosty cold, but like down into the 40s overnight. So it was a very very different place. Mushrooms, mushrooms. Got the pan already hot before I put the mushrooms in. Gonna give them a. Those hotels had windows. That was the best hotel too. It had, even though I was sick while we were there, it was so nice. They actually had heaters instead of air conditioners at that hotel. Um, um, it had the best shower. It did have windows. It had fully enclosed rooms. Um, I think that, no, I need to cut up these green onions. And that was where we saw the resplendent quetzal. I didn't get a picture. I think our guide got a picture. I'll see if I can round it up. If you don't know what that bird looks like, look it up. It's crazy. Um, It's a crazy one. It's the rock star of the forest. Uh, it's the one you go there for. But yeah, I wouldn't drive on those roads. There was quite a few roads I wouldn't drive on. The main roads, the roads like around civilization, except for the one that was actively under construction while we were driving on it, were all just like modern roads you'd find in America. Paved lines. The drivers are kind of crazy, but that's not the road's fault. The roads are fine. Um, they drive kind of crazy down there. But these back roads, because the middle of the country is so mountainous, these are these little back roads to get to places, but they have to climb up a mountain. So it's this one lane switchback thing, and it's someone paved it at one point. Also, it's the tropics. It rains a lot in the wet season. So the roads degrade quite quickly. So someone paved it at some point, but the pavement was kind of falling apart. Um, and we actually did ask, why don't they fix up the roads? Because they clearly have the ability to fix up the roads. A lot of the roads we were on were very fixed up. There's a main highway that runs through the mountains. It's all paved. It's a highway. You can drive on it at high speed. Um, and he said they don't fix up the roads because they don't want more tourists in these areas. Our little tour bus, little short bus thing, was about the limit of what you could get through there. If they made it capable of supporting the big tour buses, you'd get big tour bus numbers of tourists, which wouldn't be good for the environment. Having the roads be kind of crappy limits the number of people that visit, which helps protect the beauty of the environment. So the people who do visit get that really gorgeous environment. I think those mushrooms are done. Let's get them out of there. My water has been boiling for more than a minute, and I've just been forgetting to put the noodles in. And we are using the flavor packet today, which I don't always do, but I wanted to make a soup, so have at it. I just said that those mushrooms were done. We're going to get them out of there. Don't want to wildly overcook the mushrooms. Dab more oil. And you know what? It made sense because the one park we visited that was adjacent to a main town, had really good road access, all the amenities, all the everything, was mobbed. And it was kind of miserable because of how many people were there. It was just too crowded. And they had really, really strict entry controls where they were literally going through your bags that you were bringing into the park to make sure you weren't bringing in anything that would result in trash, anything that would result in food, like snack foods, because the monkeys get dependent on tourists bringing food and stop foraging for natural food because monkeys aren't dumb. Um, we're not doing a poached egg. We're just going to do a fried egg. I don't want to go through the trouble of poaching an egg, but we are putting an egg on my ramen. This egg, it's a duck's egg. We're still using some duck's eggs here. That pan is too hot. I'm going to take it off the heat and let it cool off a smidge before I do my egg. I do not want the egg to immediately spatter like mad. I had the heat up for the mushrooms because I didn't want them to steam. I wanted them to get a little bit more of a fry on them, but that temperature is too much. It's going to be a little bit too much for the egg. This is also the duck's egg. They're harder to crack. Well, definitely still a little bit too hot for what I was shooting for. This one. Over easy is how I make a fried egg, which is what we're doing right now. So we're just doing it until the white is set, both sides, but the yolk is still runny. It helps with not goose eggs. Duck eggs are much easier to do this with because the yolk is so large that it has a lot of thermal mass and it doesn't heat up as fast as when you do it with a chicken's egg. It was actually much easier to make an over easy egg. It would be much harder, I think, to make a over hard or a boiled egg or any of those other things because the yolk is so much larger. Taking him off the heat. Doesn't take long to make an egg. We're not using the extra oil. You don't like runny yolks? Well, try over medium, which the yolks aren't runny, but they're still soft. They're not hard yolks. It is literally just a matter of doing what we just did, but leaving both sides longer so that the yolks set. You could also go to over hard, where you just cook it until the yolk is solid. Or the classic diner fried egg, where you deliberately break the yolk when you throw it in there so that it flattens out and cooks all the way through. Those are all options for fried eggs. I like a runny yolk, so I'm doing a runny yolk. But I know that's not for everyone. And you have choices. This knife. Some scallions. We can actually come back over here. We don't need the cutting board. Make sure not to put it next to the sink. That's what happened to the little one. I put it next to the sink just like that, and it got wet. 2 colors of sesame seeds and crispy fried garlic. This has become one of my new favorite ingredients. It's just a bunch of deep fried garlic in a jar, and it is such a nice crunchy topping. Yed! Hello! Yed, we're taking a brief break. Let me shout out Yed. I'm going to shout at you, Yed. I forgot the underscore. We're taking a brief break from Legos to make a small dinner, and that's actually it right there. I'm not adding anything spicy to it because I don't want to upset my tummy. It's already quite salty too, so I'm not going to add any soy sauce. I think we're done. I think that's it. But before we did that, we got this far on this Lego. It looks like a fish, but it's supposed to be a bird. Hi, Yed. Welcome in. Suppose I should take a picture of this guy for posterity. My camera station's not ready for it, so the picture's going to be right here with you guys. You get to see the actual official picture. No. Chopsticks make it look better. Okay. And then we dig in, and that's dinner. And that was a quick dinner. This is the kind of stuff I eat when I'm not cooking for a show. As you can see, it takes like, I don't know, how long did it take? 20 minutes? With me yabbering and forgetting stuff? It's real quick. Oh, I put these sesame seeds away. I do actually decorate my food with sesame seeds when I'm cooking it and not showing anybody. It is a thing that I've actually been doing. It's becoming a habit. When he met your boyfriend, he made ramen in the microwave. The first time I made him on the stovetop, his life changed. You can make it in the microwave. It's not as good. That's for sure. Our yolk should be runny, but not like completely soupy. It's a little bit on the jammy side. And the edges of our egg have actually gone really nicely crispy. So we should have some good contrasting textures going through this. And you can dip stuff in the yolk as you eat it. Well, to each their own, and I would suggest the things that I suggested. Pop the yolk when you put it in the pan so that it has a chance to cook through. Or cook the egg longer so that it solidifies the yolk. It's real tasty. So it's salty because this is packaged ramen, which also means that it's got a big head of MSG right through the middle of it. I could do little demonstrations of different ways to do a fried egg. This is my favorite way because I like the runny yolk, and I find it very easy. I find sunny side up to be quite tasty, but very fussy. I don't like those. I don't like doing them. For an medium or over hard, I would do it on a lower temperature so that it cooks longer without making the whites go too rubbery. Overcooked whites can be quite unpleasant. So that is the thing. In this, it's kind of creamy, mixes well with the salty noodles. The mushrooms give us a little bit of a slightly meaty bite. I'd go with a medium low. I usually cook an egg on medium. If I was deliberately going for an over hard, I would go on a medium low so that I wouldn't burn the whites before the yolk set. If you're doing the method where you pop the yolk and make it deliberately, run out before it's cooked, then I would just do the same temperature. I would just do it on medium. Because who cares at that point? It's not like you're trying to get through the thickness of that yolk with the heat because it's all run out already. Got to get these scallions mixed in here. I don't think I put the scallions on quite fast enough. They taste a little on the raw side. Ideally, you put them on when everything's hot and they get just ever so slightly steamed in the heat of the food. I will say the price of eggs has actually started to come down by me. I don't know by you, but by me, noticeably. I'm not sure what that means. But it's happening. Leaning over is slightly awkward because I'm sitting on the chair again. Pick this up. I also normally don't eat with you guys. I'll take a bite and talk about it, and then I'll switch off. But today, I intend to finish this and then get back to bag 4 there. But yeah, if you ever want to see me, like, if you ever have questions about something like that, drop it in the suggestions box, or accost me here on stream when we're live. I can do like demonstration things. I'd love to do that. Then we got to figure out what to do with a bunch of fried eggs, but that could also be fun. Heck, you can see me mess up a bunch of fried eggs because I'll be like, "Oops, I popped the yolk on that one." Doctored up tomato soup with mushrooms, diced tomatoes, and garlic butter to go with a pumpernickel rye Havarti provolone grilled cheese. Right, when you said, I'm thinking tomato soup and grilled cheese for dinner, that's way fancier than I was picturing. Dang, that's fancy. But see, even this one with the runny yolk, there's bits of the yolk in here that are solid, pick upably solid. Because the outside of it starts to set as the heat gets in. And for over easy, you want to take it off while the middle still hasn't been heated. It does sound very good, very good. A chunky tomato soup can be very, very good. I hope eating a full meal with you guys isn't weird. It's I avoid this because I feel like it's very awkward and there's a lot of chewing noises. If you want the effect of some of the creaminess of the yolk without actually having a runny yolk, for making a ramen, take a slice of American cheese, like a single that comes in the plastic sheeting, and throw that in while the broth is still boiling hot. Not in the pot, but in the bowl. It'll melt and dissolve into the broth and give you a richer, creamier broth. Those single American cheese things have almost no flavor. It's not going to taste like cheese. It's just going to give you this because they're stabilized with an emulsifier, a thickener, because it's not real cheese. But that thickener still has thickening properties after it's melted and dissolved, so it makes the broth, like this broth is opaque because some of the yolk has dissolved into it and made it a little bit of a thicker, creamier thing. You can get that effect. You can get that sort of unctuousness to the broth as a really quick cheat by just tossing a slice of that fake American cheese in the broth while it's still hot enough to melt. It's a neat trick. The Koreans came up with that after the Korean War when they started rummaging around a bunch of abandoned American military bases and found weird random packaged food like American cheese and Spam and hot dogs. And we're like, what do we do with this stuff? So they just started putting it into the food they were already making. Just there's a dish called um, what's it called? Budae jjigae from Korea. That has a base of a brick of instant noodles, a spicy Korean style soup broth, hot dogs, Spam, rice cakes, uh, mushrooms, American cheese, scallions, tofu, uh, eggs, and sometimes beans, like canned beans. It's army base stew. It took all the stuff they found abandoned at American army bases and threw it in a stew pot. It threw it in a hot pot. It's a wild combination, and it's real tasty. And that's what happens when you just leave a bunch of ingredients with a bunch of people that you've taken everything else from. A similar thing happened in Indonesia after the same war, or not the same war, after World War II. Uh, that's why there's hot dogs and ketchup, tomato ketchup, in Indonesian cooking, because those are things the soldiers brought with them and left behind. And they just started figuring out what to do with these things and came up with some really good dishes. But it's things like that where I say, if you've got ingredients, just start cooking them together. See what happens. Because people do that. You got to have the basis of knowing how things combine, how to like build flavors. But recipes that call for all these specific ingredients, like you could sub out this for that real easy. They're basically the same thing. They just taste different. It was a tasty soup. I'm going to finish up and we're going to get back to the Lego for at least the one more bag, and then I think we're going to wrap up after that. I got to make a list of shows to do that people actually have asked for. Like a big egg demonstration. And an egg demonstration would also be something worth recording. That's still something I want to do. Come up with ideas that I can do recordings of and put on YouTube. We could do an eggs every way. There's a lot of ways to do eggs. I'm not doing cloud eggs. Those are terrible and I don't want to waste an egg. They're designed for Instagram, but they taste awful. Don't know if you've ever seen a cloud egg. Let's turn that one off. We don't need that anymore. We're going to go back to Legos, which means we're going to switch our category back to Legos. I'm going to cough real quick. I bought a lot of different types of sriracha, and I want to do a taste test of all the srirachas when my guts are feeling a bit better. I was planning to maybe do that today, originally, but with my guts not feeling up to it, I don't want to put a bunch of spicy goo in there. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. And I've cooked some disasters before, and they're not great. Anyways, back to Lego. Bag 4. I hope you guys are enjoying the Lego. Just feels a little, I don't know, different. Okay, where are we starting? We are starting. I think we're going to be making a bunch of feathers. This looks like we're one of the wings. We're making pieces at slight angles too. Presumably to give it a slightly more organic look. Although I'm hopefully they can be swiveled after they're in place. Just in case I want them to be a little on the straighter side. Oop, those don't go there. I immediately made a mistake. Immediately made a mistake. We have a piece separator though. That's what the piece separator is for. We're supposed to take that funny little peg and then put a 2x1 before putting those top bits on. I skipped an entire step. And that part. Oh, and there's a clear piece. Weird. Clear piece in the middle of the wing. That's that's a little odd. Smooth interior and a little dome. It occurs to me that the color we're working with, this is the same color that Optimus Prime is mostly, this dark navy blue. Optimus Prime is the other Lego set I did prominently as a thing. Not the only one, but the other prominent one I did as a feature. And a 2 and a 1 and a top connector. And another. These have got to be the points where the feathers connect. This is going to be the bulk of the wing, and then these are going to be the points where the individual feathers attach. Watch, we're going to get through all this and it's going to say, do it again, but reverse. A 2, an end bit, and a connection across the top. It seems they still haven't made a 5x1 piece, because I never seem to see them. It goes from 4 to 6, and when they want a 5, they take a 3 and a 2 and they put them next to each other. But I feel like there used to be a 5x1 piece back when I was young. Oh, and we are making a slanted part. And we are making a... I'm going to ignore the fact that it told me to put that on the bottom of that and just do it normal. Build up. Oh, are the wings segmented? No, it doesn't look like they are. That must be... Oh, I see. I see. I think I understand. I see, said the blind man. Not that I'm blind. But we're making the edges of this all smooth. Smooth. Connect together on top of this, and then those little holes connect to the two funny little pegs on the side of the body there. And that's how the wings attach, and that's why the angle is wrong, because these are a 90-degree angle to the actual plane of the wing. But we set that aside, and we go on to a bunch more brown. We need the slopes and the little rail piece. And the smooths. Make sure to work out here as much as possible. The little rail. What's the little rail for? Glacier. Glacier. Welcome, welcome. Congratulations. You are not first today. No one can take that away from you. What is up? What is up is we're doing Legos because I'm not feeling fully up to a elaborate dinner. And I wanted to stream today. We did just take a short break. I made a bowl of ramen with mushrooms and egg, which I finished. It took us about 20 minutes. It's the kind of thing I cook when I'm not doing a show, which I don't often have an opportunity to show off because they don't take very long. We made good progress before that. I got the base and the main body of our bird in place. We're on bag 4 of 6. I wasn't planning on doing the whole thing today, but the pace we're going, we might make it before I get tired of this. And yeah, we're doing a burb. This is the set we're doing. Kingfisher. I got it for my birthday, which was 2 months ago. And I've been hanging on to it because I wanted to do it here on the show with you guys, because I would like to incorporate some more Lego building. I don't know how popular it is. It seems like it's actually slightly less popular than my typical fare. I think we're going to get through bag 4 and then wrap it up. Leaning over like this, I've got a chair, not just standing here. Hi, that's my face. I'm up in the corner there. Um, I do have a chair. But I have to lean over slightly. We need to rotate this way. Yeah, I got this chair specifically so I could do things here in the kitchen that didn't involve standing. And I was actually just super lucky that I found this chair. It's the right height, and I found it at a thrift store. As with everything ever, I found it at a thrift store. Because the last time I did arts and crafts stuff, and it was actually the last time when I did the whole jackfruit in the other room, I had to move all the cameras. The cameras hated it. And it's much cheaper to get a chair for this place than to get another camera and arm setup for that place. That would be the ultimate goal, is to get another camera so that I can do a setup there on the table that looks a lot better than the crappy ones I've done. But until that happens, a chair is much cheaper. So this is actually our first run of trying to do Legos here in the kitchen. I'm not sure how. I mean, it's up to you guys to say how well it's working. I know I'm getting a little bit less traction, probably because my main viewership is food focused, and this is a change of genre. We're also going to have the issue of Legos themselves are quite expensive, so we're not going to do this very often unless I suddenly start making tons of money. I don't know if you've seen the price of Legos recently, but they ain't cheap. Oh, we're making cripe's sake. We literally have to make 2 of this, and it doesn't tell you until you're at the end, and it's like, do that, but again. Sure, do that, but again. This is a neat use of the palm leaf recolored into light blue to be a feather, though. I do like that. But yeah, do that, but again. Are you enjoying it? Well, if one person's enjoying it, that's all that matters. I'm enjoying it. I like doing Legos. I know I do them. People say I do them quite quickly. I know other Lego tubers have mentioned that I did Optimus very quickly, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Speed run it. I could just be completely silent and do the Lego as fast as possible. And then we take this part and we attach the feathers. Oh, and they hold them, they're not swivels. They hold themselves at the angle thanks to the sloped part. They have a little bit of a give to them, but they really, those sloped pieces there, which kind of disappear into the navy blue on navy blue, hold the feathers at a fixed angle. So it does not matter that I didn't get those exactly right. The next step of this, the next bag is going to be do this, but the whole thing in reverse, because we have to make another wing. And the other wing is the same wing, but in reverse. Oops, that's not correct. That goes there. Oh, and that also doesn't swivel. Oh. Oh, everything looked like it was like, oh, you could adjust the wings slightly and you know, customize the look, but no. But no, absolutely not. All this stuff is fixed positions. The instructions say, do it right. Do it right or not at all. Oop, no angled bit on this last one. Oh, this isn't the last one. I'm shook because that isn't the last one. Oh, and the feather just goes right on the bottom. The last one has no feather. It's just a, or palm frond, I should say. It's just the little pegs holding together a little part. And you know what? I better use those pieces in the next step. I do, okay. Because I haven't used those pieces at all up to this point. Well, we can flex them a little bit. And then they kind of rest into each other. A wing. Wing of Burb. Speaking of Burb, here's Burb. Face him towards me. Wing goes on right there. Now it's looking like half a bird. And we need one of these, one of these, two of these, and two of these. And there's a hair. And we build a little sloped roof thing, which goes under here, like so, to hold the wing up so it does not flex, because there's no flexing allowed in this bird. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. We have 2 bags left. Do we keep powering through? The other, we're gonna do another wing like this, and then the last bag has got to be the head, right? Oh, we gotta finish these things, right? Do we power through? Do we power through, or do we? I'm gonna power through. The decision has been made. I'm powering through. I'm energized by having eaten dinner, and I'm ready to just knock this guy out. And there's also a bunch of leaves in here. That's different. Especially since the first thing we're doing is starting with some leaves. Uh, which get attached directly to the base. Here. Okay. Rotate these so that they all fit on top of each other. I'm unclear on what these plants are supposed to be. Just plants, I guess. Generic water plant. Because it kind of looks like they're just generic water plants. Doesn't it? Hard to see from that angle. They just look like plants now. There's some plants. Decorative side plants. Okay, let's we've already done this. I don't have to really describe it much. Oh yeah, Glacier, you just got here. Hi, Glacier. At the beginning, we were talking about my trip to Costa Rica, um, which I keep getting off track on because I keep getting off track. But it was a delightful trip, and I think everyone should get a chance to visit that beautiful country. And we learned all sorts of things about them. Like, did you know Costa Rica's electrical grid is 99% renewables? It is. Weird how they're doing so much better than we are. And it's not like they're not a modern electrified country. They have really good internet. They have electricity Every place we went, no matter how out in the middle of nowhere boonies, bottom of the canyon, top of the mountain, middle of the rainforest, literally surrounded by rainforest, all directions, they have electricity. Like the whole, it's not like they have a lightly used grid. They're using it, and they're also managing to power it all entirely on renewable, almost entirely on renewables. Um, should have taken some notes while I was there. Bring that stuff back. Oh, the water. I'll tell you about the waterfall. I didn't tell anyone about the waterfall so far, so everyone can hear about the waterfalls together. We visited one park that was I forget the name of it. Um, it was three waterfalls, something three waterfalls park. Um, it was relatively touristy, but it didn't feel crowded, unlike the Miguel Antonio, which was very crowded, and I thought that detracted from it. This one was not very crowded. This is where I got the really good close up of the toucan. You couldn't get close up shots of toucans out in the wild. They were not uh, interested in coming anywhere near you. Um, but the ones in the. And it's not a zoo. They were very specific. It's not a zoo, it's a rescue shelter or something like that. Because there are no zoos in Costa Rica. The only animals in captivity, the only native animals in captivity, are rescues from the pet trade that can't be released, or rescues from whatever. They're rescues from illegal ownership. They can't be released because they have no survival skills, so they're kept and paid for. Their keep is paid for by having tourists visit them. So they had pens with some monkeys and some birds and some big cats in the waterfall park. But the waterfalls, these were huge, roaring, like big raging waterfalls flowing down from the mountains. That doesn't sound that unusual, right? Um, there's no snow caps on any mountain in Costa Rica. Nothing at all. Uh, and it barely rained while we were there. Um, so where's all that water coming from? That was the big mystery. Where's all that water coming from? Um, it all comes from condensation from the clouds. It's all cloud forest, and just the condensation of the clouds on the leaves of the trees produces enough water to create these huge raging waterfalls. And that's also a main source of electricity because most of their power comes from hydroelectrics. And the hydroelectrics are driven by these water coming down from the mountains, and the water coming down from the mountains is all condensation from the clouds. So most of Costa Rica is powered by clouds. They also have a bunch of volcanoes, so the next biggest source of power is geothermal because they have a bunch of volcanoes. And if you've got a bunch of volcanoes, it's kind of dumb not to take advantage of it. Uh, and they're not dumb, so they took advantage of it. And then third is wind, because there's also a ton of wind that blows over the mountains. It drives the clouds. Um, so they got windmills up in the mountains as well. So yeah, it was very impressive. Did I post pictures of the waterfalls? I think I posted one. If I didn't, I should go back and do that. I took some pictures of me at the waterfalls. I was still feeling good, so I took some very snarky pictures. Let me check. If I if I roll up, if I roll up, yeah, there's pictures of the waterfalls. Oh, onto the brown part. I think we're going this wing a little bit faster than the first one, which was the goal. So yeah, as I was saying, I think Costa Rica is just doing this whole like building a modern society thing way better than America is, or even than America was like before current events. Apparently, you can get demonetized for talking about current events on Twitch right now, because of course. You almost went with your 11th grade Spanish class. They do. It would be a great place. It would be a great place to go to help learn Spanish. While we were there, we had a guide who spoke essentially perfect English. He had an accent, and every once in a while he'd forget a word, but the words he forgot were like not important words, and also not ones he would have used very often. And he also always came up with them. But most of the citizenry we encountered spoke a little bit of English, but if you went and you did not attempt to engage in English, it would not be hard to go full immersion Spanish. But with that safety net of if you completely flub out, there's enough English around because it's touristy that you're not just going to get lost. Trip got canceled though. That is unfortunate. Yeah, like most people I encountered, we had our guide had to interpret sometimes. There was a restaurant we went to toward the end. They didn't speak a lick of English. He had to interpret the entire time for us. Um, so if you get away from the touristy stuff, that's definitely a thing. But I had to go to a doctor because I got sick, and the doctor spoke enough English that we could muddle through, and one of the nurses spoke basically perfect English. Uh, so in the event of communications difficulty, we could call him in and be like, "This is what we're trying to say." So like, you can fully immerse it without being cut off from that safety net. Our guide also pointed out, Jimmy was our guide. He was a very good guide. He also pointed out at times where there was a lot more Spanish versus there was a lot more English in different parts of the country. The touristy parts, there's signs just in English um, in a lot of places. Also, in the part where they're selling a lot of real estate for development, almost all of it is in English. Because the people buying it are a lot of American expats moving in. Which is another thing they encourage. Oop, that piece still needs its feather. Went to Spain a year ago and it was hard to have people speak Spanish. I haven't taken Spanish since high school, so it's been a while. But I retained enough that I could read. I really had a hard time parsing what I was hearing. I could hear, individual words, but like putting the sentences together, I had a really hard time because people speak so fast. Of course they do. You always speak fast in your native language, and they weren't trying to slow down for me. But I could read a lot of it. I could read enough to just, you know, fill in the few little gaps without much trouble. Um, Again, I probably couldn't read full sentences, but you don't need to necessarily read a full sentence to understand what a sign says or what a menu says because it's not delivering it in full sentences. I'm terrible with languages. It took me forever to learn Spanish. The little bit that I've retained. Oops, that was backwards. This wing went much faster, and I think we're definitely finishing this today. 556 on Duolingo. I've heard a lot about Duolingo, mostly from Hekime, if you're not familiar, here on thetwitch.com. Excellent streamer. Better than me. Why are you watching me? Go check out Heki instead. Heki does Duolingo. I'm not actually, can't actually remember what language she's doing on Duolingo. I just know she talks about it. German as well. Um, okay, that's our burb with everything but his head and his plants. I feel like Chinese would be really, really useful, but I also hear that Chinese is really hard if you don't grow up with it. And yeah, just because so many people speak Chinese, it seems like it would be a really useful language on a global scale. For Americans, Spanish is the most logical because like a majority of the Americas speak Spanish. I watched Jaume on YouTube. I have not watched Jaume on YouTube. This is a weird little piece. What is this? It's like a bumper or a truck reflector or something. It's going to be part of the bird's face. Um, oh, that sounds fun. I have seen I have seen some clips where you'll have you'll have a very typical looking white person, and they'll be somewhere, and the locals will be speaking quite poorly of said white person in the native language, and then the white person will chime in their language, and they'll be like, "Oops." Oh, that's a funny looking piece. There's some funny looking pieces in this set. Oh, not that one. This one. Nope, not that one. This one. And then the other one goes on the top facing the other way. And then that connects to the side of the thing. And that's the bird's cheek, I think. Oh, hey, well, I recognize that coming up. Bird mouth. Oh, the what? It's flexible? Weird. The tips of these are flexible. And as a result, slightly bent. Huh. That's a weird piece. Uh, the other one, doing the same thing in reverse. And then, yeah, we're taking it's the other way around. We're putting the peg on the inside. And we're taking the other one. Oop, don't lose that. I wonder why they make these so that the tip is flexible. It's a different material entirely from the regular plastic, and it's adhered almost seamlessly, but the color changes or the texture changes. Makes me wonder what part, because this is a repurposed part. It has to be a repurposed part. Because there's no reason for this thing to have a flexible beak. The fish that's going in there is going way in there. Hmm. Interesting. Strange and interesting. But our bird face is coming together. Oh, and that's the top. I kind of want to reverse. I kind of want to. Well, no. Is it? Is it the? It's not. That's the top. Okay, yeah. I want the straighter one to be on the top. I hate that one of them is ever so slightly bent. It means the beak is never going to be properly symmetric. I missed a step. I missed the step of putting these corner pieces on. That's a funny looking piece. That's a funny looking piece too. Wow-wee. Wow-wee. They make some funny looking Lego pieces these days. And the angle with the two curves to clean up the back of the head. Oh, I see how it's going to be. There's going to be a post, this post. That's going to hold the head in place. Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, and there's eyeballs. He's got eyeballs. That's a really clever. That's a really clever use of a part. This is a microphone piece for a Lego man to hold. It's a little tiny microphone. And we're sticking it through these peg parts backwards to make the eyes of the bird. That's real clever. Those Lego engineers, they're so clever. Imagine having this as a job, designing these things. You gotta be like a real engineer to be able to come up with this stuff. We got a bird head and the bottom of a bird head. Oh, and there's the post. Post goes in. One washer holds it snug. And we build a little weird pyramid thing. Oh, so that the bird's head, which is going to be at an angle, can only be at one angle. And that's the angle. Behold. Behold. My burb. It's bourbon. Look at him burb. Oh, and these parts. I remember these. These These were the tails of some of their old dinosaur models, the simpler style dinosaurs that they did. Now they do complicated dinosaurs. Um, and I think the last thing, all the rest of these parts, well, okay, there's a fish in here. We're going to make a fish. But before that, we're going to make the rest of these reeds, which are very bendy. On their cat, oh, they are cattails. They are just straight up cattails. I suppose I could see that from the picture on the box before we even started, that they are, in fact, cattails. That's a funny looking piece. How many times have I said that's a funny looking piece? Um, there's some funny looking pieces in Legos these days. I don't know how you'd ever get those out of there. These adult Legos increasingly seem like they're not designed to ever come apart. You know? They connect things in such picky little ways where there's just no way you're ever going to get those things apart. Which does kind of undercut the whole, like, build your own stuff out of Lego. The old-fashioned, like, creativity. Okay. That's our reeds, which means the last thing we're making is the fish. And then we're done. Yeah, this would not have been enough to get a whole nother thing out of. Oh, starting with that piece. The fish is very, it's silver, but it's very like loosely representative of fish. It's a fish. Can't you tell? But that is our last step. That is our last step. Put the remaining parts in our little dish so we don't lose them. We take the fish and we put it in his mouth. And then it's just a list of all the parts. Lego.com/service in case you lost something. And that's it. That's the end. Took us 3 hours because I took about 20 minutes to make my dinner. Golly. Satisfying. I'm standing up. Oh, leaning over. Oh, this is the kind of thing where you need to take breaks for sure. Leaning over for a long period. Oh. Oh, boy. Here, let me switch angles so we can just show him off properly. There he is with his plants around the back. It's a nice piece. I really like these more display Legos. Because I have kind of grown out of playing with Legos, but I like building them. And look at him go. You can just a little bit see the brace that's holding him up, but it hides pretty well in the splash, especially from a top angle. Um, it does. It does kind of look like a robot burb. Like clearly a bird, but it's got that chunky, angular look to it. Yeah, exactly. That's a good. Now fight it. Pow. Um, well, I guess that means we've done a meal, we've done a Lego. I He spins pretty well. I don't think he's supposed to spin, but he spins pretty well. Um, well, if I ever get the budget for more Legos, we will definitely come back to Legos. I like doing them. And this space was actually pretty good. You could get a much larger guy in here without spilling over the space. I would ideally move the box, but like we're not limited to this small one. We could potentially do quite a bit bigger ones in here. Optimus, I think, would have fit here well. Let me get Optimus real quick. Remember Optimus? Optimus remembers Optimus. This was our last big project. Oops. His arms don't work properly when you lean him back. But Optimus Prime, remember him? That was fun. I hear there's a Bumblebee, and I'm probably going to have to track that one down so I can have Bumblebee with Optimus. I did Optimus 2 years ago for my birthday. I think it was 2 years ago. It did him for my birthday as well. He wasn't a gift. I bought him because I was really like absolutely enamored with Optimus Prime's Lego. I thought that was the best thing. I like Lego, and I like Transformers, and he got me, and I drove to the Lego store to get him because I couldn't find him locally. Um, you're following. Um, um, I actually just deleted the pictures of Optimus from my Twitter. Remember Twitter? I just deleted my entire Twitter. Um, I had put it in stasis, thinking maybe stuff would blow over. Um, but yesterday I went through and I deleted the entire thing because it's all being fed into the AI machine, into Musk's stupid AI. Uh, so, um, but yeah, it was a birthday thing, and I've done one other Lego. Oh no, I did the pirate ship. That means I've done 4 Lego streams because I did the pirate ship and I did the Sphinx. The pirate ship and the Sphinx are ones from my childhood that I still have and put together. Whereas Optimus and the Kingfisher here are new. They were new ones. Anyways, I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad you guys are back too. We are going to wrap it up here. The Lego, I'm glad I didn't cut it off after one. I could have cut it off before the wings, but after I did one wing, there was not enough left to do anything for another stream. So I'm glad I just powered through the end of that. We are a little bit on the long side, but I also started a little bit early because I kind of thought we might get this. Um, so yeah, thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for hanging on during my 3-week hiatus, which was supposed to be a 2-week hiatus, and spilled over into nonsense. No, thank you. No, thank you. Let's see who's on. Let's see who's on that we can raid you guys out to. We're in a whole new category, so it is going to suggest to me a bunch of people who are in this category that I have never seen before. Ryuya's got the raid message for subs, and of course, the raid message for non-subs is the little dinosaur that Ryuya also has. Is anybody I know on that we can drop into? LeFay is on. It's been weeks. I'm gonna go to LeFay. We love LeFay. We all love LeFay. We're gonna go raid LeFay. LeFay is gonna give me a look because my category is not going to be food. She's gonna go something like that. You know LeFay. But anyways, thanks so much for sticking with me, and of course, thanks for sticking with me through the break. Sorry I couldn't be back last week, but I was very, very sick, and there was literally no option. Yeah, so hopefully back to more normal scheduling after this. Yeah, I've had my sleeves rolled up since I did dishes like 6 hours ago. Uh, so yeah, I guess I don't have much more to say. I don't really have anything planned out at this stage. We do have a sriracha taste test that I want to do sooner rather than later. We will see when my body is ready. My body is ready for that. Otherwise, yeah, the countdown's going to happen in just a second here. And there it is. And I'm going to wave at you while we say goodbye. 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 Goodbye.